Oh, hey,
Hello.
Instagram.
Now the test is the audio. I see my dad on who's always telling me how terrible I sound on Instagram. So, Dad, give us a thumbs up if you can hear me okay on Instagram if you're getting any feedback.
Leave it to Dad to tell
I
us
know my
that.
dad, he never pulls any punches. He'll always,
Carlos, I
uh,
cannot see your video on Instagram. Can you
Oh,
see
it just
Carlos's
kicked me out a
video
little
on
bit.
Instagram? There you go. Awesome.
Oh, my
Hey,
bad.
Instagram. It is Beyond the Steps Day. Bree is getting us set up over on Facebook. Thank you so much, Bree, for working on that. We are here with Carlos Caraballo to talk about how in the world do we keep these kiddos engaged because we are at cleaning time, repetition time, and they're tired of it. And dare I whisper, so are we. So how in the world do we keep our kids engaged in their training schedule throughout this season? So we're gonna let some more people log on Instagram. I see you coming on. How's Facebook looking, Bree?
we're getting there. We're getting there. We're getting some people catching on. I'm going to share it to some groups here and then we'll get started here in just a minute.
I was
Yep, let's
logging
hit
on
share.
Insta.
Hi, everybody. It's Beyond the Steps Day. Share this conversation. We're going to get started here in just a minute. We're talking today with Carlos Carabaya about how we can put the fun back in training and keep our students engaged throughout the season. So all you dance educators out there, this is for you. This is an important conversation. This is what you all want to know. It's what I wanted to know when I was doing it. So definitely share this conversation with your groups and join in. Put your comments and questions for Carlos in the chat, and we will get those answered by the end of the conversation. We're going to get started here in just a minute. Thanks for joining, and we'll see you soon. See, we need that music again.
Yes, you know what, Bree? I have to work on that music. I say it every week. I'm gonna work on the music.
I could sing, but I don't know that we want me to do that. You
I
know what I
know
mean?
nobody
Like, you
wants
can do
me to do
better than
that.
that. Okay, so let's get started.
Right.
So everybody, hello, welcome. It's Beyond the Steps Day. I'm Bree, co-founder and CEO of Apollo Performance. We're here with my beautiful co-host and friend, Melissa McDaniel. Oh, we lost Carlos on Instagram already. Melissa McDaniel of Turning Point Dance Creations. We're talking today with Carlos Caraballo, and we're talking the question. We always have one question of the day, and our question today is how can we put the fun back in training and keep our students engaged throughout the very long dance season, especially now as we have this lull where the kids are coming off of the holiday break. They're kind of
Mhm,
sluggish, and we've got
mhm.
competitions and conventions coming up, so we are ready to go. We've got to get started. Oh, let's let some friends in on Zoom here. Melissa, can you let her in?
Yes, absolutely.
So this is a great time to address some things that we can do as educators and give even parents watching some tips to encourage their students to do to be proactive to deal with this time because it's a lot. It creates a lot of anxiety in our students, a lot of anxiety on us, and nobody wants that. So we have today a lot going on. We have Zoom, we have Facebook, we have Instagram, and Melissa and I are going to be fielding all these different platforms because we want to hear from you. We want to take your questions and comments. We want to make sure this is a free educational resource. So make sure to share this, but ask us the things that you want to know. What's impacting you in your studios with your students? Ask us and we'll get those answers for you today by the end of the conversation. We have, like I said, a lot going on, monitors everywhere. So if you see us looking around, we're not crazy. We're not trying to do a reenactment of the Brady Bunch, but we are trying to make sure we get all those questions. So just know that we're not tuning out. We are definitely monitoring all the things. And without further ado, Melissa introduced Carlos for us today.
Carlos is here with us for the second time. Thank you for coming back for season 2, Carlos. Carlos Caraballo is Sparks. Caraballo is a dancer, martial arts tricker, and certified strength and conditioning specialist. As a performer, he has represented United Dance Company and Exiles in national and world competitions and has performed in videos, live shows, and concerts around the country. Notable appearances include NBC's World of Dance, Season 3, Upper Teens, USA Hip Hop and Dance Championship, 3-time silver medalist, 2017, 18, and 19. Get it right, everyone. 17, 18, and 19. And as a fitness coach, he has trained performance athletes and general fitness clients. His goal is to optimize fitness and performance through safe, progressive training so that you can be better at what makes you awesome. Thank you, like I said, for joining us again, Carlos, for season 2. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
So, Carlos, you've trained, obviously, I can see a wide range of ages, a wide range of people, in a wide range of areas, from martial arts to dance and just, general fitness. What's the biggest difference in how you effectively train kids, let's say 13 and under versus adults?
That's a good question because sometimes, as funny as it sounds, we're all just kind of big kids sometimes.
Mhm.
So it's funny because there's a lot of similarities. But I think some of the big differences between training the age ranges are adults and we'll call them like older students, so like older clients and stuff like that. They tend to have a little bit more patience and I'm able to delay the gratification a little bit longer.
Yeah.
But with kids, they tend to find fun and find enjoyment in smaller things. So it's kind of cool when I get younger clients. By the way, I just kind of call them all clients.
Perfectly okay.
Between students and clients and all that good stuff. But they tend to find enjoyment in the little things. So I don't know, like they find challenge in something as simple as like a push-up and being able to do it right, or like holding a push-up, or like doing something as simple as like handstand competitions and stuff like that. Like the younger kids tend to find enjoyment in simple things, which is kind of like, it keeps me young too. So I'm like, oh yeah, there is fun in that. Oh, it is kind of cool to do a handstand. So those are probably the two biggest difference. The delayed gratification for adults is the biggest difference there. But then with kids, it's easier to help find enjoyment in all sorts of different like little challenges and stuff like that.
I feel like too, the older you are as a student, like the more respect you have for the process, right? Like, okay, this is not fun for me right now, but I know that if I do this, it's going to be so much better for me. Whereas like my 5 and 8-year-old, they're like, I don't care.
Care.
I
I don't care about next
care
week. I
what's
don't care
going
what
to
this is going to
happen
do
5
a month
years
from
from
now.
now.
I
Yeah,
need this now.
yeah, this makes me happy or it doesn't, kind of thing. So absolutely.
That's also, Brie, I do want to say this. That's
yeah.
another reminder to us. Like, I think we think when we go into our classes, specifically with some age groups, we're like, oh, this has to be an impact, and we have to do this structured stuff, and we got to be ready to really train these kids. And it's like, listen, they want to do a handstand competition, and it's doing the same thing as what you had planned. Why not do a handstand competition? Like, let's do it. So keep it simple.
Yeah, it goes right back to the whole like get off the hamster wheel. We talked about that last week. Get off the hamster wheel, get creative, think outside the box in terms of the way you're structuring. And not everything has to be, I wish I could go back and talk to myself 5, 6, 7 years ago, but not everything has to be this serious, point to everything that we do in training all the time. If we're accomplishing, we have an end goal in mind, we're accomplishing that. Doesn't matter how we get there, right? So with that, Carlos, we all know that this is cleaning time. Like I said, in many studios, this is when things get really stressful. Not only, we're dealing with a lot of things in studio, but our students are also dealing with a lot of anxieties outside, peer pressures, academics in school, now COVID, that's not going away. We have the stress of, some of us are virtual learning, and getting creative with our learning schedules, and our college seniors are seniors are thinking about going to college and applications and auditioning for programs. It never ends, and it creates this high level of anxiety already, and then you add the stress of getting ready for competition and convention, and it can be a lot, right? So choreography is done, we're running routines over and over and over, it's repetitive, and you see it time and time again. The students are just they're just over it. They've just lost interest, they're over it, they want to do something else, they've been doing the same stuff. I mean, I know when we did choreography, we started in July.
Oh
So,
yeah.
and there's some people that start a little
It
bit later, but in general, it's a long time. So how do you keep clients in general engaged when repetition is necessary? Because there's a certain amount of it that is necessary, right? So how do you do that?
I think one area that, at least for me, coming from both a practitioner and somebody that like is the one, I guess, imparting the repetition, that I
Mhm.
think gets overlooked is just acknowledging that like where you are. Like I feel like sometimes, and I don't know if it's like tough coach thing or I don't know, but it's almost like people are afraid to be like, yeah, I know this sucks. Like I feel you.
Right.
Like we are where we are. It's
Yeah.
necessary, but also like, hey, I'm with you. And I know it sucks. And I
Yeah.
know that you know, and I know that I know, but I want you to know that I know that. And sometimes just like that, it almost reminds our students and clients that we're on their side,
Yeah.
because sometimes, especially depending on what point it is in the season, that's not always obvious that we're on their side.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
um,
Yeah. It can feel very much like a me against them kind of thing. They're not doing what I want. So, I'm frustrated, I'm upset as an educator because you know what
Mhm.
their potential is. You know what they have the capability of doing. And sometimes the output doesn't match that,
Mhm.
and it can be really frustrating.
and it's difficult because, so for example, on one of the teams that I'm currently on, we're an adult team. So it's much more collaborative.
Hmm.
And like our director is also, or our directors, I should say, are also part of the team. So one of the things that like for me that helps motivate me through those tough times is like, oh, they're correcting us and they're they're pushing us, but they also have to do it as well. You know what I mean? So I feel like, okay, they're part of the team. Now the problem is like from a client to, or from a coach to client perspective, or from an educator to like in like more company and studio setting, a lot of times our students don't get the satisfaction of watching us go through the same push.
Right.
So it just feels like at times, oh, they're just sitting there yelling at me, but they have no idea, even though you probably
Right.
already went through it,
You've been in
and
their
you're,
shoes many, many
Multiple
times over,
times.
right?
but
Yeah.
like
So
in
how
that
do you
moment, it doesn't feel
Yeah.
that way, right?
And that does make sense, right? Because we want to know that we're not alone in our pain and we're not alone in our struggle. That's like a natural human response. So, in that same vein, how, when students are phoning it in, when in there, we have students that do that all the time and they're phoning it in or giving less than their best at a time when you need their absolute best and you need their
Mhm.
commitment and you need their effort and energy. What do you do with that student who's phoning it in?
Um, so a couple of things. One, like there's always like not easy stuff, but the obvious stuff of like just bringing it up.
Yeah.
And you're probably gonna notice that with a lot of the questions, um, I'll probably always give one of those types of answers first because I feel like sometimes like we just overcomplicate these things, and it's
Right.
like, hey man, like let's just talk to them. Like
Right.
I've because to give you a quick anecdote of why I come with those questions, not to like come off like, oh, it's well duh, but like so there were times when I had a student in particular that I'm thinking in the back of my head that was doing that. Like, they were fine, they had a great potential, but all of a sudden, like something was going down. And I was like, and I tried different things, like, I tried being mean and like,
Mhm.
this hard coach or whatever. Then I tried like, being a little softer and stuff like that. And then finally, like I just talked to them and I talked to their parents and it was like, yo, they were actually like going through something in that moment,
Mhm.
and it's like dance is a huge part of life and it's a huge outlet for them. And it's awesome that they can come and do that with us, but it's not their only part of life that affects them.
Mhm.
Right.
So sometimes just understanding and talking to them, and then all of a sudden you find out it actually has nothing to do with the class. It's just like they're
Right.
doing something else. And like that's what's going on. And then again, coming back to that theme of like now they know that I'm on their side. So
Mhm.
Yeah.
they know that I care about them, then they're gonna care enough about me to give me their best.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Other like actionable things that you could do is just changing the environment. So I know for my team, we've and even in places where like I've been in a director position, or I've been like in a leadership position or coach position, sometimes changing up the same way that you do things can give somebody a different sense of motivation. So for example, instead of running it with the entire team, 15 times, it's like, oh,
Yep.
we're going to split up into like pods and run it in pods, or run it with partners, or making the students,
It's a great idea.
yeah, right, or making the students be a part of that process, I think is really important because it gives them ownership over it. So one of the strategies that I've or that we've used is you have like a pod, right? In some form or fashion, whether it's a pair, 3, 4, 5, or whatever. And then you have one side of the pod, watch the other side, run the routine, then they give each other feedback, flip, right? So then it's like, okay, well, it's not just the director coming down on you and like they're the only ones. Like our dancers are talented. They know what's good and what's not. Like, and maybe just being able to hear some of these same critiques that are now like just noise when we tell them.
Right. Wow.
Yeah, exactly. It's like
Well,
Charlie
because
Brown.
every student learns differently too. There might be some students who learn a lot from repetition, and there might be some students who are more visual learners who learn from watching others, right? And so it really is going to cover the gamut of the type of learners you have in your classroom too. And it's so funny you say change the environment, because I remember a lot of my teachers at the last program I was at, some of them would go outside. Not obviously now. I mean, I'm in Michigan and the weather is terrible, but when it's nice out, like going outside and dancing in the grass, or, in the parking lot, if as long as it's safe, of course, and making sure that you're safe and protected. But like just getting fresh air and just heading outside for 10 minutes is sometimes all they need to change their energy around. Right. So
Yeah.
I think it's a great idea.
That used to be the thing for us. Back when we didn't have the studio that we have now, and I was on the bigger team, United Dance Company, there used to be this park that would have like essentially a concrete slab that they would put like
Yeah.
stages on and stuff like that during events for the city. And during, cleaning weeks, that's where we would go. And it's like, oh, it's time for the slab. And it's outside and it was at night, and the lighting was, less than
And of
awesome.
course, if you're gonna dance on concrete, you have to wear your Apollo socks.
Yes,
Wear your Apollo
please.
socks; they will protect you.
That's real.
Very important, and it is real. It is real. Check the research that's there. Anyway, but continue. So changing the environment. We're having a conversation. Let them know that we're on their side. Any other tips for educators who are struggling with this right now?
Let's see. So we mentioned those two. I think the other one that is a little bit, it's kind of on the same note, is trying to encourage some of the natural or appointed leaders that are actually a part of the team and trying to get them on your side. I do this a lot with like my current classes when I kind of feel like I'm unsure if like I'm like like maybe they're not giving me their best, or like, hey, maybe did I do something, or like maybe I'm not communicating right. I try to find allies in the class, because there's an appointment leaders in that particular setting. I try to find leaders in there and I ask them and I talk to them and try to get a feel for the collective, because maybe not every student's comfortable telling you, but they'll tell their friends and maybe you can get a feel for it and then you can adjust. So using your members of the team as your allies.
Right. Yeah, that's a because
Great
you're right.
idea.
There are always these people that just kind of emerge as leaders, whether it be through popularity or whether it be through skill or technique, or, you always know where they're going to look to. And if you can form allyship with them, you get an inroads. I know I have plenty of times gotten inroads or something I wouldn't have known about if I didn't have those relationships with them. So I get that. For those of you who are just joining us, we are talking to Carlos Caraballo about how we keep these kids engaged throughout the entire season and how we make training more fun. Now, one of the ways that I like to do this well, one of the things I like to do for my sanity and the kids' sanity is kind of take like a what I call a break class. So where you don't necessarily do anything specific to a routine. You give them a chance to explore their own choreography or explore history or improvisation or something. But I know that there's some benefit, some research that I've read that hitting a repetition threshold or having done something a certain number of times makes you an expert or gets you to a certain performance level. Is it ever too soon to give kids a break class? Like, should I wait until they have done something X amount of times or it's been X amount of weeks since they learned it before you give them kind of this break?
That's a good question. And like, it's okay. So I'm gonna give you like the worst answer possible, and then I'm gonna expand on it. So it depends. I know. um, but like a lot of times, and I was gonna say this about the previous point, is a lot of times they'll tell you the answer, like your own students will tell you the answer if you just listen,
Mm-hmm.
even if you don't like directly ask them.
Mm-hmm.
What I like to do, and I like to do this for my own training as well, and I think that's why I use it for my clients, and then I also use it for my students. Is I in the back of my head have either an idea or a like so coming from my strength and conditioning background, this makes it easier and more difficult. It makes it more difficult because literally everything I do is repetition.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Right.
and it's not even like a dance move that's interesting. It's like, hey, this is a bench press. Like
Right.
your arms go up and
Again.
down, and you know
Again.
what? Check it out. You're gonna do it again. You know what? You get to do it multiple times. At our gym, we let you pick it up and put it back down, and then we let you
Right.
do it again. It's crazy. So in that sense, like I have to deal with this a lot. But the reason why that makes it easier is because it's very easy for me to objectively look at numbers and say, okay, this metric is no
Right.
longer being hit.
Right.
So either something is up, either with our training, or their like stress bucket is
Mm-hmm.
overflowing, and now it's finally carried into our training.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Awesome.
so that's like it for on a strength and conditioning perspective. It's that like I know my clients, I know their metrics, I know if stuff starts to fall. It's like, okay, we need like it's called a deload week.
Mm-hmm.
But basically it just means, hey, we're going to take it a little bit easier, we're going to change things up,
Mm-hmm.
we're going to go a little lighter in intensity, however that looks, and then
Mm-hmm.
we'll continue back on it. And the other way, the way that I kind of know that it's time for a break normally, um, and I'm sure you guys have seen this, depending on where they're at in the season, like the week before and after like a major competition.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh. Like, I mean, why even bother?
Right. Don't
That's
show
all
up
I'm gonna say.
because nobody else is.
Sometimes you're just like, no, just no,
You're
you
just
know,
like, all right, you know what? I get it, guys.
seriously.
Right.
It's like just gut wrenching to
It
try just
is.
all around from the kids, the parents, like everybody's just exhausted. The term,
Yeah.
competition or convention hangover is
It's
so
real.
true. It is
And then
Oh
so
I
my
true.
had to stop
gosh.
scheduling back to backs because of that, like a competition one weekend and another next week, because the week in the middle is it's like it didn't even happen. Don't even worry
Like,
about it.
why? Does it even
So
Let's
exist?
put it this way. My kids knew that if we had anything extra the week after, like in between a competition or the week after a convention competition, it is not a good scenario. if we're all coming in for extra stuff, it is like no ain't nobody happy.
Like,
mhm.
good
Basically.
luck teaching them something new.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's another like I'm throwing this in. I'm going on a tangent, but
Yeah.
so the opposite of Melissa's question, is there a point where repetition is going to do nothing for
Nothing.
you?
Mm,
Like it's just like it's futile. Like you have maxed out the potential here to get any make any progress like and that's part of it, right? Like through this journey of Beyond the Steps and all the people we talk to, it's you reach this point where you have to weigh out, is it worth the stress on everybody to do this another 10 times, or should we just stop here, get
mm,
everybody mentally well, mentally healthy, get them in a positive frame of mind and put the energy towards that instead of running the dance 10 more times? Because really, are they going to get anything out of that 10 more times at this point?
Yeah, that's honestly a great point because I've been on I can answer this as an educator, but also just as a practitioner. Like I've seen it times where, for the sake of trying to get it better, we're continuing to run it or we're changing things. And like, even if for the sake of argument, that change was better,
Yeah.
Mhm,
but the fact that it was so late and it wasn't as clean as the like lesser version, it
mhm,
ended up not looking as good.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know what I mean?
Well, and
mhm.
I was that person. So for like, I'm not being critical of anyone that is, because I
Oh, yeah, it's
was
me.
that girl. I was like, run it again, do it again, do it again, do it again. And, only now would I go back and say to myself, probably don't do it again, sit down, regroup, have everybody maybe journal for a few minutes, and let's chat it out. Let's talk about how everybody's feeling, but I can't go backwards. So I only hope that this conversation is helping,
Mhm,
people in some regard.
I have a question to you guys because I most of the stuff that I lead is on or now is on a like foundational crafts perspective. Like I teach
mhm,
tricking.
mhm,
Um, so I don't coach as much in like I don't send my kids to competitions as much as I
mhm,
used to, but
mhm,
I'm still the competitor.
mhm.
So like when you guys are watching, like what's kind of going through your head as you're like in those last like moments of like you're running it, you're running it. Is there kind of a point where you guys just kind of see it start going like this and then like
Yes.
that's when you kind
Absolutely.
of jump ship?
Yes.
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 You,
Like what
you,
what is happening in front of me right now, that this, like, I'm watching this, essentially this
it's
like
a crash.
car wreck
It's a car wreck.
happen.
Yeah, it's a car. We
And
both say
there,
crash.
I literally, it's like, no, like I can do nothing about it. I'm just watching it happen. That's internally, like, that's how it feels, right? And you're just like, why is this happening right now? We've worked so long on this, you know?
You're like, okay, listen, I don't want to do it too many times because
Yeah.
if I get to the peak before the first competition, the whole season's just a big
Yeah.
steep slope. It's just gonna go downhill. So you're like measuring, all right, where is the balance point? And then I mean, Carlos, I'm gonna tell you right now, sometimes I've gotten there before the first competition. I'm like, well, that was nice. I hope I have some recordings of this in practice because
Oh
this was
man.
nice. Or the other favorite is you get there at the very last competition. Yay, great.
Right.
I just
Like,
peaked here at the end.
yeah, but I
It was
think the
nice.
bottom line is, right. I think, and that's the problem. That this is like the whole problem of, like, we're talking about how we feel as educators, but what we're asking is for other human beings to do this, and that mean they're human beings, and so they have their own
Yeah.
thoughts, their own feelings, their own processes, their own way of dealing with things, and they all have a different capacity for what they can handle. And so we really, I think, what I'm learning, I'm not there yet, but what I'm learning is we have to take ourselves out of it and meet them
Mhm,
where we are and go, okay, this is what they can give, this is what they can do, and this is their best right now. It's not what
mhm.
we think it is. This is what they can do right now. And I think if we as educators can do that and support that, I think the end result is going to feel more positive for everybody.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
And it's true because I something that I'm kind of thinking of that's interesting that I haven't really put into words before is so from a strength and conditioning perspective, and it makes sense to everybody, right? Like let's use a very simple example like a squat, right?
Mhm,
Um, it's a move, there's good form and bad form, right? And if you were to go into the gym and you have somebody that can do a squat, does it well, and then starts to do it poorly, like you just continue to have them do it poorly,
poorly. Mhm,
it makes sense to be like, no, well, maybe just stop because then they're going to learn bad form.
mhm.
And a squat, yeah, sure. I mean, yes, it can be complicated, but compared to all the moves that we do in a dance, like in terms
Yeah,
of its intricacy, it doesn't even match it. So if we understand that by repeating something wrong a bunch of times, it
Yeah.
could have an effect long term, like
mhm.
why does that not carry over to something even more
Something
complicated?
dance. Yeah.
Well, and we can't even, I mean, that's not even going down the dark tunnel of, like, when you're repeating things and they're tired, that's what leads to the injuries. And
Injury.
then, you know, we have a bigger problem, right? Because now we've got all these injuries and their bodies are just giving out, right? And they're screaming at them to stop. And so, and I think that's what perpetuates this whole cycle and dance of like, we've got to keep pushing even when my body's saying no, because it's just the grit that comes with being a dancer, you know, and when what's traditionally been kind of ingrained in us as dancers, but it's not healthy. And so I think, you know, there's a lot to consider when it comes to repetition and reading the room and reading the red flags that are popping up all over the place, right? And how we react to that.
Yeah, absolutely. That's scary though, because we're used to run it.
Yeah.
So this is another
It's
one of those
hard.
moments, everyone, where
Yeah.
we have to go, okay, I'm going to actually step back and do something different, you know, and see what the benefit is. For those of you who are just joining us, we are talking about how we keep our kids engaged and make training fun throughout the season. We are having some great conversation. I want to move to the mindset now. I want to move to getting your head in the game, because sometimes I think keeping your head in the game is important, if not more important than physically showing up sometimes. So Carlos, where do you stand on, you know, the importance of mindset, and even adding like holistic medicine, like meditation and breath work to a training regimen to keep your mind engaged throughout?
I think for me, probably out of all of those, the technique that I've used the most, and I'm gonna admit that it's just because of my bias, I would probably say. But for me, I've tried to incorporate more breath work, but I can't sit still.
It's hard. It is hard. I did a whole live on breath work and I'm like, I am doing this wrong. My whole life I'm doing it wrong. And
Like, what?
but it is so hard to
It's so
change.
hard.
To breathe.
I work
Who
on
knew?
it all the time. And Casey's really good about this too, but I am not, I'm not, I
Yeah,
need to, I
I'm
need to
horrible
work
at it.
at it. Not going to say I'm not good at it. I'm working on my language, but I need to actively work on it consistently.
So a strategy that's been working a lot better for me is, I don't know if this is me just doing like a Jedi mind trick on myself, or
Ooh.
is incorporating something else as a part of it. So for example, a big thing that I already have to do is stretching and like soft tissue work. So rather than having it just be maybe like a static position and working on my breathing, I, I'll roll out. So my hips are a big area that if I don't maintain can cause me a lot of trouble. So while I'm rolling out my hips,
You're doing the work.
I'm doing the breath work. So I'm thinking, okay, well, when I hit a trigger point, then I'm flexing that. I'm holding my breath for a second. I'm relaxing. I'm exhaling. Like I'm thinking about my muscle that's doing. I'm thinking about this action that's happening, and that's kind of taking my mind away from everything else because I have to focus. I notice for me, it's very easy for my mind to go off into other stressors of life. But if there's like, when you reach a trigger point while you're foam rolling, it's hard to think about anything else. So
Yeah,
it's
right.
a lot easier to think about breathing. When you're in a stretch position and you're maybe reaching that point of discomfort, I almost like use that discomfort to kind of heighten my focus on that area and focusing on my breathing. So I've noticed that when I do, when I want to incorporate more mindfulness and breath work, I tie it into something that causes me a slight discomfort. So I use that to hone in my focus.
I like that. It's a good way to kind of integrate those things into your practice without being overwhelming, right?
Absolutely.
Sorry, I'm getting caught up in typing things.
Right.
So I have a fun question for you. So give us your ultimate, your top let's kill it playlist. Like I'm sure there's probably lots of things and lots of sounds that you use for your clients and even for yourself in your training that really get you pumped up and in the zone and ready to smash a workout. So what are those songs for you, or what are those sounds for you?
Oh, man, that's a good question. I feel like that's one of those things, and it's probably because I'm a dancer. It probably changes like every month,
Yeah.
more than likely.
Mhm.
Man, I
You
would
have a
say,
go-to
oh,
or
like
go-to artist
honestly,
even?
NF, like easy NF, his latest album that he came out with.
Mhm,
Like there's the Search. He has a very like particular style and very
mhm,
like if you're listening to NF, and
mhm,
it just like I remember when like before a competition, like in the green room in the back when you're like prepping, I'll just like
mhm,
sit there with, I think it's NF, the Search,
mhm,
with that like on repeat,
mhm.
and it's just like ah! I'm like, that one is awesome. Another artist for me is Skillet. So they had a song, and this is like this. I don't care. This is lame, but whatever. It's me. Come at me. Mon- Mon- Monster by Skillet. That one goes back to like, man, I think it's because it brings me back to like high school football.
Uh-huh.
And it's like, teenager high school football, like, I feel like a monster.
Uh-huh.
Like you're like, yeah, I'm like 5 foot nothing, but I'm a monster, man. Like, I
I
don't
love it.
care. Come at me.
No, so I feel you. Mine is more like hip hop. So I've got to go with a classic Jay-Z, Eminem.
Mm.
Give me something for some Jay-Z, Eminem, and I'm happy.
Yeah.
Some Janet, some Beyonce. Give me like some upbeat, Janet, Beyonce.
Mhm.
That's my steez.
I'm
Melissa, what
Beyonce
about
all
you?
day.
Beyonce
Beyonce.
all
Put it
day,
in Beyonce all day,
all
every day,
day.
anything Beyonce. Like you put it on. My fiance's always like, you just can't not move when Beyonce. Exactly. It doesn't
It's
matter.
true, but like there's something about an Eminem Jay-Z, combo that just gets that fire. Liz Kessler says Beyonce's a classic. She agrees with Melissa, or yeah, yeah.
And
So thanks,
Monster is
Liz.
such a throwback song.
It is
Liz
a
said
Yeah,
throwback
Monster is such a
song.
throwback song.
I
it is a
know,
throw.
but it
It is a
works.
throwback song, but it does work. So you've
Yeah.
got three very different perspectives here.
Yeah.
But no, thank you. That's fine. And hopefully we want to hear what you're all of
Yeah.
you
What's your
listening out
playlist
there.
out
What
there?
is your playlist? What is your go-to? I'm gonna smash this
Hmm.
playlist. You pumped up and in the zone. Monster still plays on the radio, so it's totally still cool. So Liz Kessler has stamped your Monster
Yes.
If you
suggestion.
want a
Everybody
Our
go
song to
kid,
ahead.
get
our
somebody
kids
to
are gonna
run
be
through a
like,
I
wall,
know people out
"What?
like
there are like, what are they talking
What
about?
monster?
Is that
Huh?"
on TikTok?
Right. Is that a new dance?
For
What?
sure. Yeah. So for those of you just joining, I'm Bree with Apollo chatting with my co-host and dear friend Melissa McDaniel, and we're talking with Carlos Caraballo today about how we keep our students engaged, and just deal with the hassle of repetition and them kind of just losing interest and getting burned out, and how do we put the fun back in training? And that's what we're talking about today. So Carlos, what are your thoughts on the common practice of cardio or strength skills as a consequence? Because very often, we get to this level of frustration as educators too, where we're like, do 50 push-ups, run 10
Hmm.
laps. You see the series Cheer is back on, season 2 is back out. I mean, and the physical consequences of them not working together as a team or missing a skill. Like, I mean, there is some merit to, I'm not saying it's right, but there's some merit to that, it really unifies the team. But then there's some that say that's super extreme. So what are your thoughts on that? And can that help us achieve the end goal and be fun? Can we make that fun?
gosh.
I know
You
there's
know
so
what's
much there.
it's funny because I feel like over the years I've gone back and forth on this so many times. I'm so torn on this
Hmm.
one.
Yeah,
It's
me too.
hilarious. Okay, so maybe I'll give a helpful like non-answer by giving the pros and cons of both, I guess.
Yeah.
Gosh, and maybe like I'll give you a peek into like my internal struggle with this one. So we'll start with the merits because I think it's important because both sides sometimes don't want to acknowledge the merits of either one.
Hmm.
So it's good to like to admit like, hey, there actually is merit to it. Because the reality it is like like the brain does acknowledge consequences, and sometimes that's the point. Like that does encourage us to do better. You don't do your best, you know what another consequence is? You lose. Like,
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
I'd much rather have the consequence in practice than the consequence on stage. So in that sense, like, yes, I get it. And then like I also get the merit of like having them do like you said, like cardio or ab exercises or just like a common push-up like that, because I feel like the thought process is, well, this might not directly affect the dance because it's a different it's a different movement. So maybe like sorry, Instagram. I'll let you guys get me. There we go. Oh, cool. So there's like, you know, like there's merit to that because it's not going to affect the dance. It's a different movement, but it's still going to give us that like physical exertion that reminds us like, hey, this is a consequence. Like, let's do better next time. So there's that. Like there is a merit for it, and I do subscribe to the idea that there should be some sort of consequences, because then we don't get taken seriously, and then two, again, the consequence of losing is so much worse.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
But okay, now from the strength coach perspective is I just gosh, I wish we could pick something else other than push-ups sometimes. I don't
Running.
know.
What about running? Because I've seen people use laps. I've seen people use burpees.
I've used jumping jacks.
Jumping jacks. Like, I mean, I've seen a lot of things.
Yeah, like I'm almost like, I don't know, maybe like, I guess running isn't like, that might be the least damaging, I suppose, depending. Here's my so like I guess like why I singled out push-ups is, have you guys ever seen the push-ups that people do when they're
They're
punished?
wrong. They're totally
Yeah, they're
wrong.
totally wrong.
Even
It's
my
like
push-ups sometimes
the,
are wrong. Like
the
for sure.
worm in a
Like,
stationary position. Like it just
it's
Well,
like
yeah, no, for sure. And
neck
well,
exercises.
like what are we doing?
so here's a
Ouch.
question. So here's the question too, is that I'm just wondering this, and I've wondered this for a while, is aren't we, by having them do push-ups, by having them do things like that, we're fatiguing them. We're fatiguing their muscles. And isn't that going to essentially go against what we're trying to accomplish in the first place?
Right.
And so if we're like, okay, do 20, that was, you know, that was not your best, do 20 push-ups, whatever, or do 50 push-ups or whatever it is, some extreme consequence, and then come back and do it again, we're risking injury, we're fatiguing their muscles. We're not going to be productive because we're all exhausted and worn out. So you know, while you could argue, okay, well, I'll do that at the end of the class period so that they don't have to do anymore, but do you really want to end on that note? That's the other thing. So there's just so many things to it. I mean, I'm with you. I get why, right? I get the team, the unite the team. We're all, you know, we got to work together. We have to do better. It helps push you to become your best. But at the same time, you know, when you look at that end goal, are we really being counterproductive?
And then too,
I don't
like,
know.
are we are we contributing to like, we're contributing to them learning to do something wrong?
That's
Like
great. I
depending on
mean,
how they're doing
absolutely.
it, like okay, shoulder, like for example, push-ups are a fantastic exercise, right? But a lot of people don't do them well, and they sure as heck don't do them well when they're being punished to do them,
Yeah.
right? It's like at the like the what's so to like, okay, well, I'm gonna play the part of a student. Like if I'm being punished and I have to do a task, what's my thought process? Okay, what's the least amount of effort that I
I can
could
put
possibly
in.
put into this task and accomplish it to meet this, so I can get back to doing whatever we were doing.
Yeah.
I know another, like something, an alternative that you could do is creating I don't know, something that's worked for me is creating some side, like having a reward to shoot for, and then the punishment is you have to do the whole thing. Like you know, we've done it where it's like, okay, hey, you guys get 3 in a row, we're out of here, we're done.
I do
You've
that all
shown
the
me that
time.
you can do that.
That
And
seems
if
productive
not,
to
then we
me.
have, then it's like, okay, well, you guys objectively saw you guys didn't do it right 3 times in a row, so okay, we're gonna do the full thing.
So considering reward-based training instead of
Consequence based.
consequence-based training.
Yeah, or just keeping in mind, like, what's your goal? And then is this punishment going to increase the likelihood that they're going to be able to do this well?
Mhm.
Yeah, I love that.
Right. Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah. It's just going to increase the likelihood that it's going to be able to do. So I like that. I like the way that you put that. So we already talked a little bit about some sneaky training in our handstand contest. I call it sneaky training. But can you give us another example, or maybe two examples of some methods or games or activities that are sneaky training that make it feel more like play and less like work?
Yeah, so I'm gonna use a couple from my experience as a strength and conditioning coach,
Uh-huh.
just because those tend to be the most fun for me. And by the way, I don't just use this on kids; like, I use this on adults,
Mhm.
and they have a blast with it, and it's great.
Love it.
One of the things, the easiest one, and this is more of a concept than a like an actual exercise, is
Mhm.
jumping in with them. So
Mhm.
there's a couple of clients that I have that every time that we do a core circuit,
Mhm.
I've called it Carlos's Coffee and Core, but with no coffee. There's never any coffee. It's kind of annoying, but whatever. Um, but I jump in.
Uh-huh.
I jump into it and I do that circuit with them. And you know what? That's some of like the most productive, sessions that we've ever had.
I could see
Why?
that.
Because one, the exercises that they have to do are hard, and then I don't go easy on myself. I do them just as hard. So then like, they see me going through it, I see them going through it, they talk a little bit of trash, I talk a little bit of trash, and then it turns into a game and it's fun. um so jumping
I
in with
mean, let's
them.
be honest. They're just really happy that you're feeling the pain that they feel.
Oh,
Right.
a hundred percent
That's totally what it is.
100%. And I'm like, you know what, I'm down.
Yeah, yeah. Let's do it. You can suffer through that for sure.
Like,
For sure.
I'll take it. Um, Another thing that I like to do. So there's fun things like, so for core exercises, instead of just like having somebody hold a plank, and I have a video of this on my Instagram. I should have like pulled it up or something. But I'll take like a ball and
Mhm.
I'll either like place it on their back,
Mhm.
and like, it keeps their hips stable and stuff, like, so I could tell
Mhm.
them, hey, keep your hips stable, or I could be like, hey, here's this ball, don't drop it.
Right.
And be
Right.
like in front of your friends, and then it turns into like a competition and everybody's trying to
Mhm.
hold this ball. And again, all of these things sound so simple, but it's about the energy that you bring to it. If I'm excited about this, if I'm like, oh, you probably couldn't do this, like, whatever, catering my strategic
Mhm.
trash talk as a professional educator towards the clients.
Yeah,
Strategic trash
yeah.
talk. Okay. I like that.
um, no, and
No, but
they have a ton of fun
you
with it,
can make
right?
competition fun and make that
Yeah.
environment in your own classroom. I totally see that.
We'll play. So another one, I don't know if you guys have ever seen like tic-tac-toe,
Mhm.
but a lot of people use it with like either bean bags, or I use it with
Oh,
medicine balls.
okay.
Mhm. Mm.
That one's an
Wow.
awesome one if you want to, like, you know, get in a good warm up, get them running around, having fun, cheering for each other. Like, have a game that, there's some athletics games that obviously some people are just going to naturally be better at.
Uh-huh.
That one's a very, like, everybody's kind of on an even playing field.
Right.
Because even if you're the fastest person to get there, like, you also have to think, and there's strategy involved
Mhm.
and stuff
Where
like
can, if
that.
somebody wants to see an example of tic-tac-toe, what is like, where can they find that?
Oh, yeah. One of them is on my Instagram or my Facebook. So I'm Carlos Sparks Caraballo on Facebook. And if you
Okay.
look up Medball Tic Tac Toe,
Uh-huh.
um, I'll even like find that video and repost it so it comes up. I'll post it on my IG. So Sparks
Okay.
Fitness. I'll post that one on my IG. I'll post, after this, I'll make like kind of a recap post of some of the games that I do,
That'd be
Uh-huh.
great.
and then they'll
That's
be able
fun.
to see them.
Because I
Another
know what we're gonna say. I'm gonna type tic-tac-toe, and people are gonna be like, "Tic-tac-toe
Tic
is a
Tac Toe.
warm-up. What does that even mean?
What is that?
How is that gonna help?"
That's so true. Another thing that you can do to make things fun is, you could literally do the exact same thing that you were planning on doing, um, but have like two options in the back of your head and have them choose. Like,
Mhm.
one of the things that I'm currently doing with several clients is like exercise circuit roulette. So at the end of their workout, they always have some sort of circuit, right? Now, most of the time, I'll just plan the circuit out, and it's like, okay, this one goes with this workout, whatever. Now, what I do is at the end of their main workout, I say, okay, pick a color, red, green, and orange, and depending on which one they pick, that corresponds to the circuit. And then once they knock that one out, then like the next day they have two choices, and it's final one. And it sounds like something so simple, but the fact that there's a little bit of an element of surprise. There's obviously one of those circuits that they like the least, that they don't want to end up with. So there's that anticipation, right? And then there's like that, it's hilarious, like this elation when they pick the one that's like that they
really
want.
Yeah. I could totally see that. Yeah.
So even just giving them like a little bit of power and making the exact same thing just a game, and honestly just relinquishing a little bit of that control as a coach, can go way further than if I just would have said like, hey, okay, you like, this is your workout for today.
That's there's so many great suggestions in there. I hope people try it. And if you do try any of these things, please let us know how it turns out for you. We want to move to homework because we've talked about a lot of great things today, but we always like to give homework to our viewers of something they can do, something easy they can implement between now and our episode next week to make progress in this way. And hopefully something that will show them, look, if I implement some of these small changes that impacts our students in a big way. What is your homework for our viewers today?
I would say is to try to find something that you already do and try to shoot to make it a little bit more fun. So whether that's, hey, I'm going to take this warm up and we're going to make it a game. Hey, I'm going to take this plan that I already had and I'm going to incorporate it into like a collaborative, environment within my classroom to give them a choice and make it more fun. Or, hey, I'm going to make a fool out of myself a little bit and let my students have a little bit of fun. Like, hey, choose something that you already do and make it a little bit more fun for your students.
I love that because it's not as overwhelming as an educator you're already familiar with your routine, right? So just examine some small things you can do to pep it up and put a little pep in your step and everybody wins. So I love that. Thank you so much. And of course, as always, you can always take our Beyond the Steps initiative course. It's going to tackle it's a online modules that you can take. You can take this at your own pace, but we're tackling things like racism, gender inequities, sex abuse and prevention, nutrition, psychology, and of course, dance, medicine, and science. Every module was created by experts in their field, and that's available on our website. We're going to pop the link in here, but it's free education. So again, this is not meant to be a be-all, end-all of everything you ever need to know, but hopefully it gives you enough evidence-based research to inspire you to dig deeper on your own. Google is a great resource, but this is something we've curated that's absolutely free. Please take it and share. It's pretty valuable. We've gotten a lot of great feedback about it. And our friends at YPAD, we always like to remind you that our friends at YPAD, Youth Protection Advocates in Dance, are doing great work at keeping kids happy, healthy, safe in dance. We have a 25% discount for you today off of their certification course. And this is something that every dance educator needs to consider, especially in this day and age. It is professional development. It is training. And when you put it like that, there is no price on it. But this is something you should be doing and could be doing very easily. And we have 25% off for you. Melissa's going to pop that in the chat, or has popped that in the chat. So be sure to check that out on Facebook, and we will email you if you're on our list. Carlos, any resources? You've already mentioned your Instagram, and we're going to direct people there, but any other resources you want to share for our audience of things that they can look at when it comes to this? I know you've shared a lot already, so if you don't have anything else, that's fine.
Yeah, I think this would be the two.
Good.
So if you want to watch me make as a performer, it's Carlos Sparks on Instagram, and fitness stuff is Sparks Fitness.
SPARX, right?
SPARXZ.
SPARXZ.
Sparks Fitness on Instagram. Got it.
Yeah.
Awesome. You're so great.
Yes, thank you so much. It is just absolutely amazing to have you on the show again this season. We can't wait to have you back. So much fun. Thank you for being here, Carlos. Thank you for to everyone who's viewing us on Instagram, on Zoom, on Facebook, on all of these platforms. Thank you for sharing. Those of you who have shared, if for some reason you weren't able to share, but you do want to share this with someone else later, it will be on Apollo's IG. It'll be on Apollo's Facebook. It's on TPDC's YouTube. And if you join our mailing list by signing up to be on Zoom, you will get it emailed into your inbox. So there's absolutely no reason that you cannot share this information and keep it for yourself for later. So thank you, Bree, for being on this journey with me. It's always a pleasure. Next week, next Friday, 2 p.m. Eastern time, we are going to be talking about a very timely topic because I know in my studio and in our area and all over the country, we have kids who are out with COVID-19 regularly on a regular basis. And when they come back, it's a struggle to get back into regular activity. So we're going to be talking to some health professionals about how we can help our students safely and fully return to dance after having COVID-19 and get into full activity safely. So please join us at 2 p.m. on Friday on Apollo Performance IG, Apollo Performance Facebook, or here with us on Zoom. If we're looking for guests.
Yes.
So please email info@apolloperformance.com. If you're a guest, if you know someone who might have something that they want to talk about on the show, we would love to have you. We're looking for spring and summer of this year. So please email us. But until then, we hope that you keep taking steps on your journey beyond the steps.
Yes.
Do your homework, and we will see you next week. Bye, everyone.
Thank you, Carlos. Feel better.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Take care, guys.